Oh, yeah. Five-star. LSU. I said, they ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU, huh? They ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU. We the best in the league if you looking for talent. LSU going hard, but we beat Alabama, then we going out to Florida. Drown the Gators, everybody getting bucked when we step in the stadium. This the LSU anthem, you know it's a hit. You don't know another rapper two-step like this. See me screaming out the window, yelling purple and gold. I'm an LSU fan, girl, you know how we roll now. Back and back it on up, hey. 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 Way down in the back. Oh yeah. Fast.
I don't know why that was weird.
TA, we are live. Tried to loop on you there.
Yeah, I wanted to loop on me there.
Wanted to loop on you a little bit. Welcome to the Tigers Avenue Show, Friday edition here, right before LSU Tigers will kick off the weekend series against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Zach, there's I feel like I say this every time, but there's a good bit to talk about today. In
A lot to share.
Several different things, several different areas of LSU. Some really great things I think to look ahead of, to look forward to. Some things that have already been announced, and there's plenty of it to discuss. We're going to be discussing all those little tidbits that have been popping up and being announced. Also, Zach, I know you want to give your opinion on the spring game. I gave mine on Tuesday, and really some of the highlights that I saw. But you'll give yours. We'll discuss the baseball series, obviously, this coming up against Alabama, and we're going to highlight one particular announcement that came this past week that all Tiger fans have been waiting on. And we'll discuss that and give our thoughts as well. All good things. Pretty excited for this show just because there's so many good things to talk about. And so kind of our first segment here, Zach, has been dedicated to all these little extra things, little tidbits here. So Zach, what is your, I guess we can kick it off with that. What was your takeaway since it was last week? We'll start with that. What was your takeaway from the spring? What stuck out to you most? What did you like? What did you not like? Concerns, questions?
I would say probably the biggest thing is, and this is, we talked about this with Carter on AYS a while back, but probably the biggest thing for me is you came away from the spring game with no injuries. There was nothing that, in a spring game, obviously that's the biggest thing that you want. There was nothing major that happened, that hurt LSU, correct? And
right,
LSU obviously, and a lot of times with the spring game, they're running a lot of base packages, but I thought the offense looked really good. I was very interested to see how the DBs looked. I think there's some work to be done there. I'd be interested to see, how it all plays out once everybody is back and healthy. There obviously was a lot of people missing due to injuries, precautionary reasons. Obviously with John Emery academics, there's guys that are getting their academics in order beforehand. So a lot of, you didn't get the full, the fullness of what you're going to get to witness in the fall with all these different players that are out. But
you kind of expect that in the spring.
But the biggest thing that I wanted to say, because I made a tweet about it during the spring game, or maybe it was after the spring game, and I've had this on my mind. Last year heading into the fall, I said, guys, Malik Neighbors is going to be your leading receiver, and everybody scoffed at me, and they thought it was hilarious, right? And they're like, oh, Kayshawn Boutte. Well, we all saw how that worked out, right? Malik Neighbors was your leading receiver, and he is your number one receiver going to this year. I want to say this. So that was my hot take from last year. Here's my hot take from this year. And no, it's not that Malik Neighbors will not be your leading receiver. I do believe that Malik Neighbors is going to be your leading receiver this year. I do fully believe that. I'm not making the same kind of hot take. But here's my hot take, okay? I think that Kyron Lacy is due for a big year. And
Yeah,
I'm
no,
talking, I'm not, I'm not talking, just a step up from last year. I'm talking 800 yards,
wow. Yeah.
750. Let's just do this 600 to 800 yards. I think Kyron Lacy is going to have a 600 to 800 yard receiving year. And that's massive considering he only had
That,
200 plus.
let me ask you this, Zach. Do you think he becomes the clear number 2?
I think Aaron Anderson is going to have a say in that. But I have a feeling now this is just all opinion, right? I could be dead wrong on this. I have a feeling that Aaron Anderson is going to be kind of a situational type. When you get the chance, they take a shot, and it's Aaron Anderson, right? I think Aaron Anderson is going to play a major role. So I'm not diminishing his talent by any means. I just really like what I've seen from Kyron Lacy, and all that leading is what I wanted to lead up to, which was the first play. The first play from the actual scrimmage was a massive. It was a long ball from Jaden Daniels, which obviously is what everybody was screaming for and what everybody screamed during last season. We want to see the long ball. They take a shot and ball is there. I mean, I know it wasn't completely perfectly accurate. I mean, in a perfect world, you want Jaden Daniels to lead him perfectly and it to be a little bit lower, but it was there and your receiver went up and you made a play. And ultimately, with the long ball, that's what you're going to have to ask for. You got the Jaden Daniels to trust his guys to throw it up and hope that they make a play and trust your receivers to make a play. And it wasn't a perfectly thrown ball, but it was there. And Kyron Lacy went up, made a phenomenal catch. But what was more phenomenal was what he did afterwards and all the broken tackles that he made. I mean, he was spinning out of broken tackles. He was pushing guys off him. It was phenomenal all the way to score. That was obviously the highlight of the day. That was the biggest highlight of the day. And I loved it. I loved it. So I loved everything I saw. I know you recapped it, and I know we've got a lot to discuss here, so I'm not going to harp on the spring game for a long time, but I loved what I saw. The other thing I wanted to mention was I loved that we got to see a lot of work with Trey Holly. He obviously had the receiving touchdown out of the backfield, which, I also want to see a lot more of. We saw a little bit of it last year, but it wasn't, I feel like it was not utilized as much as it could have been last year. And I think mainly that was due to the personnel you had. So now, you have so many options at running back, there's going to be a guy there that's got to be the receiving back out of the backfield or, that's going to catch passes out of the backfield. And, I love to see that from Trey Holly. I understand, Armani Goodwin hurt, Josh Williams hurt, John Emery dealing with the academic issues. I love that opportunity for the freshmen, and we got to see that. Obviously, Caleb Jackson will come in a little bit later, but I love to see that for Trey Holly to get a lot of reps, and especially Noah Kane as well. I'm very interested to see how that running back room shapes out, because I think that is a big storyline heading into the fall. How does this running back room shape out? And we're going to talk here in just a little bit more about that with some news out of the transfer portal. But overall, you stayed healthy. I love what I saw from the offense. I want to see what the defense looks like healthy. I thought they did pretty good. I don't know if you watched it, Reagan, but I watched a lot of the mic'd up segments that LSU football's been putting out. I got to watch Garrett Nussmeier's mic'd up.
Yeah.
Whenever he was actually in the spring game. I love that, man. I love the team chemistry and the team camaraderie that they have right now. They just seem so confident and happy and what they're doing.
Continuity.
Yeah. I mean, that is all because of the culture that Brian Kelly has built. And that was one of the major things that I saw from the spring game is this team's having fun. I mean, they are business. They are all business. This is the goal that they have. This is what we're going to do. I mean, it is a business that Brian Kelly is running, but they're college players and they're still able to go out there, even though it has this business-like structure. These players are still able to go out and have fun and enjoy time being out there on the field with their brothers and with their teammates. So overall, just really great start. I guess to say really great end to the spring to be able to finish it off and cap it off with a really good spring game. I mean, thank goodness it didn't look like Florida's, right? Like, the Florida spring game was pretty rough, but
reeling a little bit.
Defense puts up 32 points. I understand there's a kind of point system that offense puts up 32 points. I thought it was funny that Brian Kelly mentioned, like, hey, I would have gone for 2. I thought that was funny in the post game that he mentioned that was funny to me. But overall, just I had really no negative comments. I mean, I think more of that will come once we really get into the season, because I understand right now they're missing a lot of guys, and the team. What the team is right now is not what the team's going to look like in the fall. So,
yeah. And Zach, if you could name one person on the defense, maybe not Harold Perkins, because I think everybody recognizes Harold Perkins is going to be Harold Perkins, but maybe a newcomer or a freshman that came in that on the defensive side of the ball that stuck out to you, because I feel like there were a few on the defensive side, newcomers, like transfers and freshmen. I mean, what for you, who stuck out on the defensive side?
Well, I mentioned it to you at you came and visited me at work since y'all are in town. That's why you are in our sister's room now in a weird background. So for your viewers, that's why Reagan, you can hardly see him because he's white and he's in a white background there. But
and also you see the phone moving around.
So. I know, right? So we discussed this whenever you came and visited me at work today. For me, it was Amari Spates. Amari Spates. I thought he did a phenomenal job. Dude, the speed sideline to sideline with Amari Spates and with Harold Perkins is going to be something to behold. It's going to be really, really awesome to get to watch this upcoming fall. I really love. He seemed like he was always there. He was always in on the play. He was always there on the ball. So I really loved what I saw from him. And then obviously Whit Weeks, to be able to see him get a pick six and to be able to take it to the house. That was phenomenal. Another guy on the offensive side of the ball. I know we're discussing defense, but on the offensive side of the ball, Landon Abieta took one to the house. Garrett Nussmeier, threw kind of a quick route to him, and Landon Abieta put on that speed, which we knew he had, and we finally get to see Landon Abieta play, and he houses one. So I'm interested to see what his role looks like going into the fall. How much of a role does he have? There's so many. I think. Last year and the year before, we went into the offseason going, man, there's so many holes to be filled. There's so many concerns. I really, right now, outside of, how does the defensive backfield work out? Like, I know you got guys there. You've got guys there. So I'm not worried about the depth. I'm not worried about the talent. So like going into this spring, I'm confident. Like, I don't really have a lot of worries. It's not like it was last year or the year before, and I'm really concerned. I mean, probably my biggest concern is a little bit of, and it's not even really a concern, but because you have so many guys there, is the running back room. Like, who's going to stabilize themselves? How are they going to work in all these guys? And, there's a question we were asking last year. And they made it work last year, but I would really like to see kind of more a solidified roles for these guys. Who's going to come in when they need a running back to come in and pass block? Who's going to be the guy that's receiving the ball out of the backfield? Who's going to be your thumper? Who's going to be your home run hitter? Or does it eventually get to a point where they rely, wholly on 1 to 2 guys, maybe 3? I'm very interested to see how that plays out. But right now, you have a lavish of riches. It feels like with Brian Kelly and this team. So very much looking forward to the fall.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. A few more things we need to discuss, Zach. I'll hit on it briefly. One thing out of the men's transfer portal hasn't been much to kind of update on lately
in basketball.
In men's basketball, but the latest update in terms of LSU men's basketball for the portal is Joe Girard, the guard out of Syracuse, has cut his list to 2 teams, and it is LSU and Clemson. Here's the thing with Joe Girard. You've already landed Jordan Wright, Jalen Cook,
yep,
Carlos Stewart. I would not be surprised if he went to Clemson just because the room has kind of gotten crowded a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'd be happy if he came to the Tigers. I really would. That's really all the update you have in the men's portal. I really am curious to see what Matt McMahon does to get some length and some size because we need it. We really need like one more player out of the portal that's like a wing type player, like 6'6", 6'7". I think I've already said.
I'd be good with that or another big.
Yes. We really need one like that because Derek Fountain at 6'10" can play your 5 if Will Baker needs a breather, every now and then. But Jalen Reed and Tyrell Ward are kind of your wing players. Jalen Reed has the size. Tyrell Ward is a little undersized to be playing your wing type players. You need one more guy to really give you some length and some size outside of Will Baker and Derek Fountain and Jalen Reed. I really think you need to get one more. So I'm curious to see what Matt McMahon will do there and how he continues to progress in the portal. Other portal news, Zach, women's basketball.
We'll get to that next segment.
I'm talking about today. I know we're going to talk about the commitment, but
yes.
Back what's
well,
going
I was going to kind of group those together, and
Okay.
we could discuss football and the D-line hire, and then when we get to that part of the segment, we can discuss today as well. If you're okay with that, are you good with that?
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. Perfectly fine with that.
Okay.
So
cool.
Zach, then in terms of the portal news with the football,
Right.
Brian Kelly in his post game interview, somebody asked him, what would you be looking to do in the portal this go round? And he really just said, essentially, we're looking for depth to boil it down to a simple statement. But something interesting that is developing is Logan Diggs, the Notre Dame running back who is out of Rummel, Louisiana native, is in the portal. And guys, I would not be surprised if LSU began to trend for this guy because I really think LSU's running back is going to be looking at potential transfer outs.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's a few guys that would transfer out of the running back group. So this is a guy who, in the South Carolina bowl game, Logan Diggs had a game, played incredible. I think he'd be a solid addition to the running back room. But that is one thing to be looking out for as he's in the portal. Of course, Brian Kelly is your head coach now, former Notre Dame head coach, and he's from Louisiana. So you're definitely going to be trending for him. Zach, I'll let you take the D-line coach, Philip Lindsay.
Jimmy Lindsay,
excuse me, not Philip Lindsay.
Yeah, so obviously news broke today a few hours ago that it looks like LSU is going to hire Jimmy Lindsay as their defensive line coach. Jimmy Lindsay spent the last season at South Carolina. And look, Reagan, I got to be honest. I'm kind of in the dark here a little bit. I really don't know a whole lot about Jimmy Lindsay. A lot of the names that were in the hat, I knew a lot more information on. Maybe you know some more information on Jimmy Lindsay. But outside of knowing that he served, he coached this past year at South Carolina. There's not a whole lot. So I think for obvious reasons, there is some LSU fans, and like me, I think there's a lot of LSU fans that are a little bit in the dark on this guy because he's not a big popular name.
Yeah,
but ultimately. And I mentioned this on, I think it was maybe the Blake show a while back. I trust Brian Kelly, man. If he decides, hey, this is my guy, I trust Brian Kelly. Now, come back and bite him. Yeah, I mean, any decision you make with the coaching hires, can always come back to bite you. It may not work out for whatever reason. But this is obviously the guy that Brian Kelly has vetted. It's obviously the guy that he trusts to lead this program. I mean, we're talking about this upcoming season. It is going to be massive for LSU because they are going to be legit title contenders this upcoming season with the roster that they have and everybody that they're returning on offense. And so to be able to go out and hire, and obviously the defensive line is going to, going to play a major, major role in that. The ability to be able to pressure the quarterback in today's college football world is absolutely massive. And so if this is the guy that Brian Kelly is trusting to put his defensive line in his hands with all of the expectations that are going to be placed on LSU for this upcoming season, I trust it.
Yeah, absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. You may not know the name. He may not be the big name, but there's no reason for any LSU fan whatsoever to be disappointed. I would say I would never use the word, as of right now, concerned about this hire. Brian Kelly, without question, has earned the benefit of the doubt in terms of his hires.
Yes.
Barkley is currently Vanderbilt's head coach. That is a Brian Kelly hire. Marcus Freeman, who he hired from Cincinnati, elite defensive coach, and is now the head coach at Notre Dame. Tommy Rees, who was a quarterback of Brian Kelly's, he brought him on as the OC, and now is the OC at the Alabama Crimson Tide. And guys, the staff that he has formed here at LSU has been extremely impressive. All of us have loved it. I mean, Zach, to be honest with you, when we hired Matt House, it wasn't
Didn't really know the name.
It was not the big name that people were wanting to see, but Matt House has proven that he is an incredible coach and arguably one of the best coordinators in the country right now, and will probably be up for the Broyles Award this year. And darn near he probably will win it if he has another season like he did last year. And here's the key to Jimmy Lindsey. This is why I mentioned Matt House. Jimmy Lindsey coached alongside Matt House in 2005. So there is some connections there already, that Matt House and him have already coached together before. And when you pair that with who Brian Kelly has hired in the past, Brian Kelly rarely misses on coordinator hires. Rarely, if he has at all. Brian Kelly is known for making great hires on his staff. So I don't know much about him. All I know is Brian Kelly vetted it a whole bunch. There was a ton of interest in this job. There's a lot of interest in LSU's defensive line job. And for him to land on Jimmy Lindsey and there to be some prior connections, Lindsey and House have coached together before. I have no problem with it. I have full trust in the hire. I think we'll be just fine.
I agree with you. So obviously that pretty much wraps up our, how do you say it, Reagan? Lagniappe?
Lagniappe.
LSU Lagniappe. Just all kinds of different news coming in for LSU, all positive things for LSU in regards to the transfer portal, both men's basketball and football, the new defensive line hire, and recapping a little bit more of the spring game. So, Reagan, let's go ahead and let's get right into it. I mentioned earlier we were going to hold off a little bit on discussing the transfer portal for the women's, and the reason being you got massive news yesterday. Reagan, we knew it was coming. That's why we had an edit ready. Hailey Van Lith, the top player in the transfer portal for women's college basketball, commits to LSU. Reagan, I don't know about you, but as soon as I saw her hit the portal, I automatically, without being told anything, without having any sourcing that we had on the situation, automatically, when I saw her that she had hit the portal, my automatic thought was she's coming to LSU. Then you learn about the connection with Kim Mulkey and how she was on the fence about Baylor and Louisville whenever Kim Mulkey was at Baylor. Obviously, they lost to Iowa in the Elite Eight, who was ultimately the team that LSU beat. I'm not saying she's pulling a Kevin Durant, but maybe just a little bit. I don't think it's really a Kevin Durant situation, but I think she also understands that she was doing a lot of the work at Louisville. And now she can come to LSU where she is going to be partnered with Angel Reese and the likes of Flau'jae Johnson. And you also have the number 1 recruiting class coming in with Michaela Williams. And obviously with what's happening today, the potential for even greater players. I mean, you listen, Reagan, let's discuss this. The impact that this has, not just on LSU's season next year, but on the program. What happened in the national championship when LSU won the national championship is they set themselves up for this type of recruiting. To be able to go out and get the number 1 player in the transfer portal, to be able to, I mean, Kim was already doing it before, right? And I had full confidence in Kim, even if we were to not get Hailey Van Lith. But you went out and you got the best player. Listen, Reagan, LSU is going to be the favorite to win the SEC going into next year. There is no doubt. There's no doubt. And LSU has put women's college basketball on notice of winning the national championship, of who they are, the talent that they have, and players want to join it. Players see what's going on at LSU. And, Kim Mulkey has said it, so I'll repeat it. These 3 letters right here, these 3 letters mean something. This is a brand. This is not just a school. This is a brand. And players want to come to LSU for the brand that it is. And Hailey Van Lith, obviously, she came on her visit this past week. She enjoyed it. And ultimately makes the announcement yesterday. It's massive. It's massive, Reagan. I don't really have any other words.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time is all it was. I mean, your initial reaction, I think, was everyone's initial reaction. Like, wait, what? Hailey Van Lith is in the portal?
We know where she's going.
Where she's going. I mean, it was immediate. It was immediate. And this is the Kim Mulkey effect. Kim Mulkey is relentless. She is absolutely relentless. And she rolls out the red carpet. I mean, Zach, these transfer portal recruits are coming in, and I mean, it's all hands on deck. I mean, they're hanging out with Flau'jae, they're hanging out with Angel, they're hanging out with Haley Bryant from the gymnastics team.
Yeah.
Like, she's hitting the gritty with Kim Mulkey, taking pictures with Kim Mulkey. Like, it is like complete dominance on like every level, every facet of the game. That is what Kim Mulkey wants to do, and she's killing it. And Zach, I don't know if you saw Kim Mulkey at the Rotary Club. The Rotary Club. This is the type of personality she is, and she has earned this respect that when she goes to the Rotary Club, she straight up says, "Hey, it's time to get rid of the PMAC, and it's time to get something new." And she can say that. Like, she has earned that. Yes. And she just straight up says it because she's out here doing her thing, and she's winning at everything. She's winning national titles. She's winning in recruiting. She's winning in the transfer portal. And it is just the next several years until Kim Mulkey retires, LSU is going to be an absolute unit in women's college basketball.
Powerhouse.
I mean, what Dawn Staley has done at South Carolina is what Kim Mulkey is beginning to do at LSU. It will be to the same level. Now, Zach, Hailey Van Lith, I mean, I hate to say this. I don't want this to like come across any way, because Alexis Morris was amazing, and she deserves the utmost respect.
100%.
But from a point guard standpoint, like, you are better now than you were the last 2 seasons. Alexis Morris was great, but Hailey Van Lith, guys, is a girl who's been playing for Team USA, and like in terms of like recruit, Hailey Van Lith is that one, right? And she's been doing it for a long time. She is well known in all circles of women's college basketball, and she was that girl coming into her high school recruitment between Louisville and Baylor. I mean, Everybody wanted Hailey Van Lith. And for her,
And she's averaging like 20 a game, just about.
Yes, this past season she's averaging just under 20 a game, and she's an elite shooter, scorer. Her confidence is higher than I mean, I don't know of anybody who has more confidence than Hailey Van Lith. I mean, she's of the likes of Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark in terms of her confidence and her mindset, a tenacity, a relentless pursuit to win. And you apply that to this team. She not only does she have tenacity and confidence and a relentless pursuit, she has the talent to pair with it. So it is going to be, I mean, elite stuff from Kim Mulkey until the day she retires. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And Zach, she's not done yet.
Nope.
Anissa Morrow is on campus
right now.
Right now. And they're doing the same thing they did with Hailey Van Lith. They are rolling out all the stops. Now, Zach, I want to hear your thoughts on this. So Hailey Van Lith, it was almost like a given. Like, okay, she's going to LSU. So Anissa Morrow is a little bit different story.
Yes, I agree.
Everybody likes the chances of LSU. I like the chances of LSU to land her. But the reality is she has a top three. It's USC, it's LSU, it's South Carolina. She's kind of gone through a recruiting process with the transfer portal.
She just got back from USC. She's already been at South Carolina, I believe.
Somebody fact check us on that. I thought she still had to go to South Carolina.
She might still have to go to South Carolina, but I thought she had visited there already. I don't know. Somebody please fact check that.
Yeah. Let us know. The reality is Dawn Staley's in the mix.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
And South Carolina was pretty gutted by the WNBA draft with Aaliyah Boston, Zia Cook.
Going to South Carolina next weekend. Dang it.
So,
I hate that LSU's not able to be the last.
I was going to next South Carolina next weekend. So, look, LSU is pulling out all the stops, and things look good. But, look, South Carolina ain't going to hold any punches either. Dawn Staley is not going to hold any punches either.
And they need somebody to replace Aaliyah Boston.
They're going to need – they have a need now. And they can sell that to her. But Kim Mulkey has something to sell to her too. She has a national championship to sell to her, which Dawn Staley does too. She's got two of them. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Anissa Morrow plays out, because I think it's definitely going to be a little bit harder. Well, I wouldn't say a little bit harder. It's going to be harder to land her than it was Hailey Van Lith. Zach, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do believe this is going to come down to LSU and South Carolina. I don't think this is a Hailey Van Lith situation. As I said, when Hailey Van Lith entered the portal, I think my immediate reaction was she's LSU, all LSU. I do feel confident though. I do feel very confident because, if she's, I know that there's a lot of background work that is being done. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that is being done to pour into these players that are in the transfer portal. And look, I see Devon. Look, won't be enough playing time, buddy. If she comes to LSU, she's in your starting five. I'm sorry to tell you that, but she comes to LSU, she's in your starting five. I understand you got De La Rosa coming in, but if Anissa Morrow comes to LSU, she is your other big.
Yeah, she's your 3 or 4.
She's going to be your other big, beside Angel Reese. That, like, you need to understand that if she comes to LSU, she is going to be in the starting lineup. That's why she's on campus right now. She would not be on campus right now if she wasn't going to be on the starting lineup. I'm sorry to tell you that. But listen, I think it's going to be really tough going against South Carolina, because South Carolina is going to be pulling out all the stops because they have to get somebody to replace Aaliyah Boston. And Anissa Morrow is that. So I'm very interested to see what happens in the next 2 weeks. I do feel confident, but I'm 50-50 on it. I really don't know whether or not she's going to go to LSU. I can't tell you that. Now, look, I know I tweeted it. We put it on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. We want to get some traction, in the same way that LSU is putting out all, doing their best to recruit her and to show her why she needs to come to LSU. I wanted to do the same. And so I wanted to put those 5 girls out there all together on a graphic and let's get it out there. So look, if you're following Tigers Avenue, which you should be on Twitter, go to Twitter, go find our post with it's the little queens. It just has, it's a little graphic. It shows queens and it shows Hailey Van Lith and Angel Reese, Flajay Johnson, Anissa Morrow, and Michaela Williams. Go like it, go retweet it, share it. We want to get that. We want to see, hopefully they see that. Hopefully Anissa Morrow sees that and she likes the idea of that. And if you get the likes of Anissa Morrow, dude, you're going to be unstoppable. You might already be unstoppable, but if you get Anissa Morrow, we're talking potentially, one of the greatest teams in women's college basketball. I mean, I'm talking about next year. So like, dude, I'm so excited to see what happens, and let me go ahead and say this. Look, guys, and if you don't get Anissa Morrow, if she goes to South Carolina, you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. You've got the number 6 player in the country and De La Rosa coming in, and she's a really good big, and she would fill that role. You also got Samaya Smith, who's put in a lot of valuable minutes for you this past year. So regardless of what happens, what I've really enjoyed is what they are doing in order to get these players on campus and recruit them. This was not happening 2 years ago. It wasn't. You were not even near this level of recruitment and hype. This is all because of Kim Mulkey, and it all goes back to who made the hire. Scott Woodward has done a phenomenal job. We will continue to praise him. He has done a phenomenal job at knowing who to go get, and he is a big game hunter, and he went and got Kim Mulkey, and now, you are having the profit. You go out, you got your big game, and now you are reaping the rewards of nailing that hire. So, whether you get Anissa Morrow or not, you should already be extremely elated with what LSU is going to bring to the table next year with Hailey Van Lith, Angel Reese, Flajay Johnson. Kateri Poole is going to be back. I mean, so many players. Michaela Williams, De La Rosa coming in, Samaya Smith. I mean, that is a really solid team. You definitely want to see some more depth. I think LSU would be, and if you land Anissa Morrow, your number 1 recruiting class is the depth. And Samaya Smith's there for depth.
Very cool.
De La Rosa is there for depth. Last year Poe is there for depth. Kateri Poole is there for depth. Like, you're really, really good if you land Anissa Morrow. I would like to see a little bit more depth. We'll see what LSU does. But also I want to make an announcement. So we did end up nailing this today. So on Monday, if everything works out and nothing changes, Gary Redis. If you don't know who Gary Redis is, look him up on Twitter. He is behind the scenes doing a lot of work in getting these girls to come into LSU. Played a major role in getting Hailey Van Lith to come to LSU. He is currently at this moment playing a major role in getting Anissa Morrow to come to LSU. He is going to be joining us on Monday. If everything works out, if all the schedules align, he is going to be joining us on Monday to discuss LSU women's basketball and his role that he plays for LSU women's basketball and at LSU. I'm really excited about that. He's the one where, we saw the video, from Angel Reese that popped up, and, he was kind of letting you know what was going on a little bit. That is Gary Redis. So really excited to have him Monday.
Yeah. Am I back on? I know.
You're good. You're good.
Good deal. Zach, I think we need to get to some comments. They've been hot.
I know they have been popping today. We will
break.
We'll have to discuss a few of the other comments here in the next segment.
I-
So Ryan, as always, he's in the building. Thanks for joining us
Yeah,
tonight. Ryan, let's see. How y'all doing this Friday afternoon? Robert has been one of our viewers that has been joining a lot here recently. We appreciate you, Robert. Let's see. Justin Broussard is in here. He says, I don't see it with Kyron Lacey. Listen, Justin.
Okay.
Telling you. I understand. You know, the production was not there last year, as a lot of people, thought it would have been. I think he takes a step up this year for sure. Doug Knows is in here. Thanks, Doug, for joining us. He said Morrow looks like she has had yeah, I don't know if you've seen it, Reagan, but all over Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, they have been all over the place. Listen, I don't know who this is. Baller Island. Thanks for joining us. I don't think I've seen you join us before. So whoever you are, Baller Island, appreciate you joining us. I'm assuming these eye emojis are because of Anissa Mora being on campus, which is obviously really exciting. Tyler Townsend also joined us. My guy Tyler, appreciate you, bro. Tyler, again, I will try to do a better job of talking to you tonight on the DMs whenever LSU and Bama square off tonight at 6 here in about 30 minutes. He said the Weeks boy is going to be a big contributor. I do believe so. I mean, we saw West Weeks. He obviously played a major role. Last year was a really big, came in, got a lot of minutes, got a lot of playing time, a lot of snaps, coming in and subbing in for guys kind of on that second team defense. So, yeah, I agree with you. Let's see. Maybe I'm being negative, but I'm not excited about the D-line hire. Again, Tyler, I understand that mentality. I'm also kind of in the dark on this hire. You got to trust BK, and that's exactly what he says. Doug said you're not excited because it's not a big name you've heard of. Knows I'm just loving the stats South Carolina had, but also don't have too many doubts on BK hires. There you go. That's all you got to worry about. He said LSU ain't South Carolina. Yeah, LSU's got the athletes, more of the athletes than South Carolina's. Although South Carolina looks like they're going to do pretty good on the defensive line. They got Nicholas Harbor coming in this season, so we'll see. Here's a big one. We'll get to this next, but big news on the baseball side of things, which we're about to transition to here shortly after the break. White and Morgan back in the lineup. Love it. Love to see it. Carl also said Mulkey was doing the gritty with Morrow today. Yep, saw that.
Awesome.
And all these guys were confirming that she is visiting South Carolina next weekend. Okay, I think we've about covered everything. Let's go ahead, Reagan. Let's take a break, and then when we come back, we will get into LSU, Alabama, this weekend series. Obviously, we're gonna be it's gonna be starting here in about 30 minutes. So let's go ahead. Let's take a break, and then let's talk about this weekend series.
5-Star Hero, your intro and outro music for the Tigers Avenue show. They ain't ready for that LSU. Go check out all his other music on all the major platforms. Don't forget to follow him on Instagram at Saints Anthem and at Twitter at One Nation Doty. Don't forget to check out his Facebook page for all his Saints and LSU merchandise. Can't get any better than Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law. Her firm focuses on the needs of the elderly and maintaining their dignity throughout the process. Here for you, here for your family. Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law.
Reagan,
what's up?
To cut you off, sorry to rudely interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Kind of cool. So, I posted the They Ain't Ready, and it's, Hailey Van Lith and, Anissa Morrow and Andrews. That graphic that we were talking about earlier. Cade Doty, former LSU baseball Tiger. He liked it.
Uh-oh.
He likes what's going on. Pretty cool.
Good stuff.
So,
shout out to Cade Doty.
I hope he's doing good right now. He's in the minors right now. So.
Yeah, he's doing good stuff for the Blue Jays right now. Looks really solid out for the Blue Jays right now. All right, Zach, we need to talk about this weekend. LSU back in the box this weekend after a trip to Oxford. They'll be playing Alabama. So, Zach, I think this is an interesting series because I think there's some mixed opinions about this. There are some who think that this should be a series we handle pretty easily, and there are some who think this could be a how do you even say that? That Alabama could be a sneaky good team and
sneak up on you.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't spit that out. Anyways, so there's some mixed opinions about this weekend. They're 9-9. They're sitting at third in the SEC. Pretty decent record.
Third in the SEC West.
In the SEC, that's correct. and we're third in the SEC. They're third in the SEC West, sitting at 9-9. So, Zach, what's your thoughts going into the weekend? I know what I think, but I want to hear what you think first.
Well, a lot like LSU and Arkansas, Alabama has really struggled with injuries on the pitching side of things. And I got a lot of that information from Matthew Musso and his podcast that he does, Musso at the Box, which I listen to basically every day. So, they've had a lot of issues with trying to figure out the rotation. Seems like they kind of finally have it nailed down now. Who was now? I think I might be wrong on this, but they basically had to shift. Like I think they lost like their 1 and their 2 maybe, and somebody I can't remember exactly, to be honest with you. But they've had to do a lot of shifting around. Guys that were in the bullpen had to come out of the bullpen. Guys that were going to be weekend or midweek guys that were going to start in the midweek, now they're pitching on the weekend rotation. Sunday is now Friday. Stuff like that. That's what Alabama has had to do. And they have had an up and down season. They lost the series to Columbia, but look, Columbia is a pretty good team. They're a team that right now is leading the Ivy League. So this is a team that, yes, on paper, they don't look that great, but they are a veteran team. I believe there is like 8 seniors and like 6 grad seniors. Like it's like insane. Like they're old. They're old, man. They are led by veteran leadership. And so experience is going to play a key factor here. I fully believe that they're going to give you your best shot, just like every team is, because when you have that number 1 beside you, that's what's going to happen. And Alabama's going to give you their best shot. You got to believe they're going to want to be the first team to finally win a series against LSU. And they're going to give us their best shot. I think tonight, really bodes well for us. Obviously, with Paul Skeens on the mound,
it does.
The biggest thing that I want to see from this weekend is I want to see the pitchers continue to do what they did last weekend.
Yeah.
Ty going 8 and a third. Christian going, what was it, 7 or 6 and whatever. I think he went 7 and a third maybe, or something like that.
Yeah.
To see what the guys did on the mound, the weekend rotation did on the mound this past weekend against Ole Miss, I want to see more of that. I want to see them continue to do that because, as we have mentioned when we discussed it a couple of podcasts ago on kind of mid-season grades and expectations going forward, you have to get more out of your weekend rotation, and you have to get more from your bullpen. And what's going to help out your bullpen is your weekend rotation extending more than they have. They did it this past weekend. Can they do it this weekend? I think I honestly believe if LSU is able to extend their pitchers, their starters this weekend, you very easily can win this series and potentially sweep.
Yeah. So Zach, I see some comments on there about I think it was Demui said they lost Hess and Hit. He was giving you their names there. Zach, here's my thought. I think you dominate tonight. I think you dominate tonight's game.
Knock on wood, Reagan. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood. I think you do. Honestly, Zach, if you go look at Alabama's schedule, I am one to think that this series, LSU is going to take care of business. I don't think they sneak up on you. They have won 5 of their last 6 SEC games.
Yep.
They swept Mizzou, and they won 2 out of 3. I'm drawing a blank last week. Man, drawing a blank. It was 2 out of 3, I think, the week before. I think it was Auburn, maybe. Anyways, so Alabama has not won an SEC series until 2 weekends ago. They had lost every SEC series they played. But their record is 9-9, which is a pretty decent record. So what's the deal? They've yet to be swept. So I think you take care of business this weekend, but I would not be surprised if this is a weekend where LSU doesn't sweep. I think LSU takes care of business. I think you win the series. I think you take Sunday. I think you take tonight in dominant fashion. I think you win tomorrow. pretty comfortably. Sunday is maybe where they nick you. But I'm not too concerned about this series based on what I was looking at their schedule. They haven't won, and they go and beat and sweep Missouri, and then I think they won 2 out of 3 the weekend before that, which is where they're 5-6 of late. They are a veteran team, but this veteran team lacks talent. It's a solid veteran team. I think they're they're probably the exact same team last year, just a year older, minus Zane Denton, who transferred to Tennessee.
Their best player.
Arguably their best player. So you're going to have a very probably fundamentally sound baseball team in Alabama. I just think you are just better than them talent-wise, and I think you overpower them. And I definitely think you win 2 out of 3 this weekend. And that's just my thought on it. The keys to this weekend, like you already mentioned, is seeing if Ty Floyd and Christian Little can continue to do what they need to do on the mound. I want to see Javen Coleman again because his outing against Ole Miss, it was the second outing. You can't expect him to be amazing. He's the second outing since the injury. It was his first outing in SEC play, and they extended him a little bit, and he got touched. You need to keep playing him to build some confidence. So I want to see him again, and I definitely want to see
for an inning or two.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to see Griffin Herring continue to just be the solid guy out of the bullpen, the number one guy, because, man, he has looked really good of late. But in terms of the weekend series, I think you win 2 out of 3, no problem. And Sunday they may give you a little trouble because they just have yet to be swept. So if you go and sweep this team, it's a great look for LSU, especially at home. You need to take care of business, and if you sweep, it'll be really good. Hopefully, I don't jinx us, but that's my thoughts. I'm really not concerned about this weekend. Just take care of business and do what you do.
2 out of 3.
Talent's going to win you this series.
So there's been a lot of people. I want to see who brought it up because I do want to discuss. Okay, so it was Carl Dunn. So Carl Dunn asked the group over or under 12 strikeouts for Skeens tonight. Happy Skeens Day. Doug Nose said over. Let's see. There was a few others in here that mentioned it. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe it was just Carl Dunn. But he wants us to know, what is your over-under for Skeens? 12 strikeouts.
I'm going to take the line. I like 12.
You like 12. I'm going to go under. I'm going to go under. I think he hits 11. I think he gets 11. Looks like Chris Demui agrees. Said under. So I got Chris Demui on my side, Reagan. I like my chances.
Look,
my chances.
He has yet to have an outing under 11. Under 11. So that's kind of been the line with Paul Skeens, and we went through a gauntlet of teams, and he's consistently put up 11. I think he definitely at least puts up 11 against Alabama. Knock on wood, but
oh shoot! Robert said he goes over 15. That'd be his highest, right? What was the most he had this season? Was it 13?
13? Yeah.
I'll say this. There's only one thing that I would like for Paul Skeens, and it's really just me being greedy, okay? This is complete greed, okay? If you're listening to this on the audio podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever, this is complete just greed. I want to see him pitch a complete game. I want to see it. I understand it's difficult. I understand the pitch count gets high because of his strike, because he's striking guys out. I understand all that, but I want to see him either get to the ninth or finish it off, man. I feel like it's in his tank, and we haven't seen it yet. You have to get a little lucky with some quick innings. Maybe we get that some point down the road, but I would love to see Skeens extend. It's getting a little bit more difficult now, especially now that we're later in the season. So my wishes are quickly fading of that. But I don't know. Chris is in here. Chris, do you think that Paul can go 9, or is it too late in the season already? I mean, I fully believe he can go 9, but it might be just a little late in the season. You know, that arm's getting tired.
Yeah. I think he definitely has it in the tank to go 9. But if you want him to go 9, he can't be throwing the strikeouts like he normally does.
He's gonna have to have some like first pitch pop-ups or something like that.
Like you need like 10 strikeouts on the night of 9 innings. Like that's what you're gonna need. But it'll be tough.
Reagan, let's do something a little different. Let's pick who we'd like to see have a big weekend and maybe discuss something that we want to see maybe get worked on or get fixed this weekend. I'll let you go first.
Oh, yeah. So Tommy White, and we haven't discussed that yet. Tommy White and Trey Morgan back in the line. Big news. I think White was a little precautionary. I think both of them were precautionary stuff. So to talk about them, I don't think White needs to get right. But I think Trey Morgan, I mean, he's been great. Don't misunderstand me. But I think, I mean, am I wrong in saying this has been, which it has, you hate to say things like this because it hasn't been bad, but this is, in terms of his tenure at LSU, this is probably is it his worst year at the plate as a Tiger, or was last year? I can't remember.
I don't know. I'd have to go look at the stats.
But
I don't have the stats with me.
Word like worst, it sounds so bad. Like
bad, yeah.
I want him to be peak Trey Morgan, and peak Trey Morgan was batting 400 in SEC play.
Yeah.
And I want that out of Trey Morgan. We need that out of Trey Morgan. And I feel like it's been lacking just a little bit as of late. And also, I'm really hoping that Gavin is fully healthy.
That's where I was going to go.
Yeah, I'm hoping Gavin is fully healthy because he very clearly was not 100% at the Ole Miss series. And it seemed like he was kind of laboring a little bit at the plate. And honestly, I would not be against sitting him out for the weekend. He's probably already in the lineup, and he's a competitor and he wants to play. But I wish they would have sat him out against against Ole Miss last weekend. That's just my opinion. But I'm not Jay Johnson and I'm not Gavin Dugas. But that's my thoughts.
I'm 100% with you there. I would love to see Gavin Dugas kind of get right, as Chris puts it. And maybe a part of that just has to be we just have to wait until he's 100% healthy. But when he was healthy, I mean, man, he was a major catalyst for your team, and he was, he was hitting home runs, he was getting clutch hits. I mean, he just always came through when you needed something. Which I feel like you could say that about a lot of players on this team this season. But for me, it's definitely Gavin Dugas this weekend. I want to see, and I also like to see. I want to see a clean weekend from the defense. I feel like we've just seen, it's definitely slipped in the past few weeks. We've mentioned that before, but I would love to see just an overall pretty clean weekend from the Tigers. So Chris says right-handed pitcher, he's going to last 5 innings. I'm assuming he is talking about.
He's talking about Robert. Robert said he's gonna go over 15, and he said RP. He's gonna last 5 innings if he does that. Is essentially what he's saying.
Oh yeah, he can't. There's no way.
Strikeouts.
There's no way. And RP also said if he goes all 9, it'd probably be around 125 pitches or more. They're not going to let him go 125. They're just not. Maybe the 110s, but I highly doubt we would ever see him go 125 pitches. I agree with Carl. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen via the run rule. So I'm okay with that. I want to see him pitch a complete game. And Chris also said maybe in a regional or super regional against free swinging teams, teams that are going to come out there swinging and wanting to hit, maybe. Robert said, I want to see plenty of gorilla ball this weekend. Hopefully we do. Because it seems like right now, like Jones is playing really well right now. Joe Bear's playing really well right now. Obviously Kay Beloso is playing really well. I mean, y'all tell me this. Let's look at it. I wanted to see if they stuck with it. I'm not going to mention it until I see it. I'm going to look it up right now. That's okay. I'm pulling it up. It won't be long. Okay, so they did go Milazzo. They went with Milazzo. So lineup for tonight: Dugas leadoff, Morgan batting second, Cruz third, White fourth, Beloso fifth, Thompson 6th, Jones 7th, Jobert 8th, and Milazzo 7th. I was curious to see if we got to see Travinsky again. Maybe we see him on Sunday. We'll see. I've really enjoyed getting to see Travinsky.
I think he's earned some more playing time. I really
he
do.
has. Yeah, he definitely has.
Especially
All
Brady
right.
Neal.
Yeah, with the back injury, you're going to have somebody to come in and give Milazzo a rest.
All right, Zach, I think we've covered everything. We're about 2 minutes over. We need to hit one last quick break and then wrap things up. So appreciate all y'all's comments on the baseball. Looking forward to it this weekend. We'll be right back after this.
Make sure you go follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Tigers Avenue, for daily updates on the show and all things LSU sports. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to click off and hit that subscribe button at Tigers Avenue. We broadcast all of our shows live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
All right, guys. Appreciate you joining in tonight and interacting. We always love doing it here in the Tigers Avenue. Man, it's a great time to be a Tiger. It really is. There's lots of great stuff going on with women's basketball. The men's basketball seem to be on the up and up with what they're doing in the portal. And LSU baseball is still the number one team in the country. It's a great time to be a Tiger, and we love and enjoy talking about it. So we appreciate all your comments and your input. Hopefully the Tigers can go out and take care of business tonight with Paul Skeens on the mound. Appreciate y'all joining in. 5-Star Hero, take us out. Peace.
Who that 5-star? And the LSU Tigers, LSU Tigers.